Jai Gurudev. So this morning's Satsang is from Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 8, Verse 12. Yastvaya manda bhagyokto madanyo jagadishvara kshvasho yadi sasarvartra kasmat stambe nadrishyate. These words are spoken by Hiranyakashipu to Prahlāda. He says, O most unfortunate Prahlāda, you have always described a supreme being other than me, a supreme being who is above everything, who is the controller of everyone, and who is all-pervading. But where is he? If he is everywhere, then why is he not present before me in this pillar? So there's 2 points that I really want to focus in on. First is the hypocrisy. And then second, we can look a little bit at the assumptions we make about God and about our relationship with God. So first of all, the hypocrisy is the double standards that we always apply when it comes to God. The same way that we've spoken many times about how easy we find it to surrender to so many things in life and yet find every excuse possible to make it the most difficult possible to surrender to God is incredible. We don't scrutinize 99% of our life. We don't ask why things are the way they are, we just accept them 99% of the time. But when it comes to God, why is always the big question. Why like this? Why like that? But why doesn't he do it differently? Why he behaves this way? Why he doesn't behave that way? We question it a lot. We've used examples, Guruji's used examples in his commentary about blindly trusting airplane pilots, blindly trusting taxi drivers, blindly trusting restaurant chefs, blindly trusting policemen, blindly trusting whatever. And we do it all the time because it's normal. And then you ask someone to trust the Guru or to trust God, it's time out. Now we need to analyze the situation. We need to scrutinize him to the nth degree. And even then, got to stay cautious. And I've always made the point, and I'll make it again, it's incredible how cautious we are. I mean, given the degree of concern people have when others decide to follow gurus, you would assume that following gurus is the number one cause of death in the world. And yet magically it's not. More people have died from falling asleep with their mouth opening and choking on a fly than from following Paramahamsa Vishwananda, but oh well. In any case, the second point that I find often becomes highly problematic in this is, as I said, the assumptions. Hiranyakashipu turns to Prahlāda and he says, why is he not here in front of me? You make all these claims about God. He's this, he's that, he's all-pervading, he's our ruler. Where is he? Why is he not here? Do you think Hiranyakashipu asks himself the question, why should he be here in front of me? There is so much arrogance embedded into our thinking that embeds qualification, worth, attainment, whatever you want to call it, onto ourselves when it comes to God. Why hasn't God already granted what I want? Why hasn't God shown himself to me? And it completely dismisses the chasm of difference between Hiranyakashipu and Prahlāda. To look at these two beings and assume them to be equally qualified or equal types of people, and therefore if God does one thing for him, he must do the same for me, is ridiculous. And yet, it's precisely what arrogance does. It's exactly his line of questioning to Prahlāda. Why? Why is he not here for me? And a lot of people do that even when they mean well with God, even when they actually want to have a positive relationship with God. And so there is, in a sense, an overall cheapening of God. Subconsciously, God is always forced into the Father Christmas role. That he's just there when I call upon him to do what I need, when I need it, and if not, then he deserves to be questioned. Why weren't you there? Something's wrong. And the question is never, what did I do wrong? What was not right about me in order to have said experience? Or sometimes, nobody has to be wrong. Sometimes, what you asked for, what you wanted, what you desired, what you hoped for, just wasn't right for you. And so the right thing to do was to not show up, was to not grant whatever it is that you were desiring. But all of this requires nuance. All of this requires you to think a little more deeply. All of this requires a little more trust, a wider perspective, a lot of things that are generally missing in society. You have in the Ramayana a very great example of this in Sugriva. Sugriva he feels betrayed. He feels like he has been unjustly expelled from his position as king. He has had his wife stolen by his brother Vali. And he feels very betrayed by life, like something very unfair has happened to him, something very wrong. And in Ram and Ram's pursuit of Sita, of Ravana, he sees an opportunity for himself. He says, if I help Ram, then surely Ram will help me. And he offers a deal. So I will give you Hanuman, my loyal servant, to help you in your endeavors, Ram, and he'll find Sita for you. And as a reward or as a exchange, you will help me regain my throne. You will help me defeat my brother Vali. Vali was much stronger than Sugriva. Sugriva could not beat him by himself. And Ram agrees to this deal. But please understand, the minute this deal is struck, Sugriva goes to fight Vali and gets beaten up again. And his immediate reaction is, where was Ram? We made a deal. He was supposed to help me. And I went to fight Vali and he didn't come and help me. Now Ram very interestingly cites that he wanted to help but he couldn't because he couldn't tell them apart. They look the same, so he's like, I didn't want to shoot the wrong one. So next time you have to wear a garland to differentiate yourselves so that I know who's who. Now, of course, we know this isn't actually true, but it's what he says. But at first, again, Sugriva's reaction is, I've been betrayed by Ram, just like I've been betrayed by life. It's all very unfair. We made a deal, he didn't honor it. I'm unjustly have been removed from my position, etc., etc. The same mentality, right? But imagine if Ram had come to his rescue exactly when he asked and how he asked, with no price to pay. Again, it actually creates the exact wrong mentality when it comes to God, because God, as much as we may want him to, does not operate on our terms. And why should he? It would be to strip away from God everything that makes him God. The dynamics of the relationship are not a relationship of equals. We are not his equal, and that doesn't mean something bad. We have this idea that for a relationship to be good, it must be a relationship of mutual respect and a relationship of equals. Mutual respect? Sure, no problem. I would even go further. Mutual love, mutual care. If you really want to have a relationship with someone, you have to care for that person, just as they must care for you. But to be of equals is one of the biggest lies and fantasies that people tell each other just because it's a nicer concept. Because there are no two equal persons in general. It doesn't exist. And then you say, yeah, but I mean of equal value. Who determines your value? You? If I ask you now, how much are you worth? What will you tell me? Some arbitrary sentence. that you think sounds good in your head, that makes you feel reasonably okay. But you have no clue. Because the only person who knows how to value a diamond is a diamond expert. The only person who knows the difference between one precious stone and another is an expert. Are you an expert of self? To know your comparative worth, not only your own, but of course that of everyone else around you, so that you can appropriately position yourself as being a higher value individual, which we all seem to think we are, given the general behaviors that we have. Hiranyakashipu certainly thinks that he's a very high worth individual. He's saying, I'm standing here, where's your God? Why is he not showing himself to me? I'm waiting, here I am. Very high value. The saints are characterized by humility, by egolessness. And a lot of the times people think that that means servitude. It means that, you put your head down, you humble yourself, you bow down. Yes, in some sense, of course, yes. But in another sense, humility has a lot to do with the self-image that you have, the way you see yourself. And a lot of the times people think that humility means to see yourself as lowly. I don't agree with that at all. I think that's just as bad as seeing yourself as being very high. Humility is the acceptance that you have no clue your worth in some sense. You have no clue what you are or what you are not. But you give up such ideas because you don't require that sort of internal or external validation, because you give yourself in the trusting hands, in the trusting responsibility of the one, the only one whose opinion truly matters. And you say, I don't care. It's not my concern. Whether I am considered great or low, these things are irrelevant. I am just a servant. I am in a relationship with God. Whether high, whether low, it does not matter. These labels, these ideas of levels, is the exact problem. Hiranyakashipu is so upset by the notion of the God that Prahlāda is bringing to him, because it challenges his self-perception that I am the greatest. And if Prahlāda's God is real, then I am not the greatest. But the obvious question you'd make to Hiranyakashipu is, so what? So what if you're not the greatest? What's the problem? But to Hiranyakashipu, it's not only a problem, it's life-destroying. Because he's built his whole identity on becoming the greatest. You see, and therefore his life is literally crushed. Not physically, he literally is crushed by God. Right? In the case of Sugriva, if we go back to him for a second, the second time round, Ram does help him, right? And Sugriva, of course, is very grateful for the help. Does Sugriva immediately honor his part of the deal? Ram helps him recover his kingdom, recover his wife, all of these things. But Sugriva's immediate reaction is to enjoy the fruits that he has regained. His immediate reaction is not, let me honor my side of the deal now. Let me immediately go and help Ram find Sita. He even forgets about his side of the bargain until Ram sends Lakshmana to go remind him with a very stern warning. Just think how opportunistic our minds, our ego is, that even in light of such an exchange with God himself, a conversation, a deal that has been struck, we don't honor our part of the deal. Why? Is it because he didn't want to honor it? No. He became distracted. Distracted by what? The pursuit of his own happiness, the pursuit of his own goals. This is such a common thread through almost every interaction that people have with God, whether in scripture or in real life, that they all have their aim. We all have what it is that we want from God. And the minute it starts to manifest, the minute we start to get what we want from God, then the one who gave it to us, the one who facilitated it for us, i.e. God, starts to become a secondary thing in our lives. We don't think about him because he was just a means to an end. The end is what we wanted. The happiness, the success, the whatever else it is. But the problem with God is he cannot be abused. He cannot be used like we may use other people in our lives. We may sometimes use someone for some personal gain, and once we have that gain, start to dismiss that person, ignore the person, eventually move on from the person because we no longer need them. We discard the person. God won't allow himself to be discarded. He'll look at you and say, you want to dismiss me from your life? Then allow me to dismiss the benefits you gained from me for your life. As easy as he gives, he takes. And that is the precise threat he gives to Sugriva. As easily as you are now enjoying these pleasures of life again, I can take it away. Just like that. Now, if you listen to something like that, the reaction is to be in fear. You'll be in perpetual fear. At any moment, God can take away what I love. But the only person that is afraid is the one that knows that they're not living the right way. If you're living life the way you're supposed to be living it, there's nothing to be afraid of. God is not punishing. God is not vindicative. He's not someone who's looking to harm you in any way whatsoever. But he is looking to teach you. God is looking to teach you. If you are stubborn and you don't learn the lessons he's trying to teach you, don't be surprised if he teaches you the same lesson again and again and again until you learn it. Not because he doesn't like you, not because he's trying to punish you, precisely the opposite. Because he loves you so much that he won't allow you to escape growth. He won't allow you to run away from what you need to face, to become better, to grow, because he loves you. And is there a need to be afraid of this? Only if you don't want it. Only if you don't want it. If you don't want to become better, if you don't want to grow, if you don't want to advance spiritually, then you can be afraid. Because it means any interaction you have with God will be at the very least hypocritical, because you don't have the same agenda. You don't have the same reason for interacting. You want his gifts. He wants to give you himself. And this is the big difference between Hiranyakashipu and Prahlāda. When Hiranyakashipu is defeated, Nrsingadev speaks to Prahlāda and says to him, I'm so pleased by your devotion. Ask me anything, I'll give it to you. Anything. And even in such a moment, even as a child, Prahlāda says to him, I don't want anything. I've never asked you for anything, and I'm not going to do it now. And Nrsingadev insists, no, please ask for something. You have to want something. And eventually Prahlāda's only request is, give me the strength to not forget you. To always remain in this position of being a servant. Because I am, after all, now the king of the Asuras. I will be surrounded by people who are not necessarily a good influence. So please bless me that I don't forget you. That I don't forget this position that I have in relation to you. It's a very different mentality. It's a very rare mentality. How many times do we ask the same question of God and Guru that Hiranyakashipu asked to Prahlāda? The question was, you claim that there is this all-pervading God who controls all of us, who controls everything. Where is he? Why is he not here in front of me right now? Okay. Now, I'm sure that none of you do this as overtly and as strong as what Hiranyakashipu is doing. But I'd be very surprised if you haven't done it before. And if you haven't, I suspect you eventually might. The reason for it, the opposite, meaning not doing it, is borderline sainthood. Because it's literally exactly what the Bible asks of us, it's what so many acharyas and saints have said, it's having faith, it's truly surrendering without any proof. Because proof, that funny word, proof. It's nice when we have conversations. I sometimes ask people, what would be sufficient proof for you? And they always come up with some bizarre things, but let's not go there. The point being, proof, whatever it is for you, whatever that word means to you, proof of divinity, proof that He is there for you, proof of God, ironically, compels surrender. It forces you to be a certain way. And because it's forced, you never willingly do it. And so it's actually one of the worst things that can happen to you is that God proves Himself to you. It's one of the worst things that can happen to you. And you think, well, that's weird. What you mean? It strengthens my faith. It makes me sure. It makes me strong. No, it makes you very unromantic. Let's put it like that. And given that our entire relationship with God is a divine romance, it's not just a getting to know each other by information. Like I have all the information about God and He has all the information about me. No, it's an exchange of love. It's a loving relationship. It's bhakti. And the entire principle is to go to someone and say, will you marry me? Without any assurances that they will. If you already know, because they've signed a contract with a lawyer that says, if you request me to marry you, I will say yes. I am compelled by the law to do so. I will give you all that I own, and I will never leave you. Signed. Here's the contract. And you have it in your drawer in your room. And then you go to them a week later and say, will you marry me? In a very romantic gesture. How romantic is it really? How sincere is it really? You understand the point? It's like, Guruji, will you look after me if I surrender to you? And he says, yes. Well, I need something a little more robust than that. Can you draw up a contract, please? And then I want to just amend the contract and put a bunch of stipulations in the contract that whenever I want something, you'll do it. And if I don't like how you did it, you get to redo it as per my stipulations, and et cetera, et cetera. Then you make the contract, sign, he signs, and you go, okay, Guruji, you know what? Today, I feel like I'm ready to surrender to you. Yeah. No one's going to applaud you for it. It's not an achievement. There's nothing special about it whatsoever. Yeah. What is special is when you surrender and you have no clue what's coming next. That's special. As special as when you get down on one knee and say, will you marry me? And you might get a no in your face. But you don't care because it's what you feel. It's what you want to give. It's what you want to do with your life, irrespective of what you get back. That's special. It's special to say, I want to serve you. And I don't care if you don't serve me back. I don't care if you don't do something to reward me for my service. That doesn't matter because I want to serve you. It doesn't matter what comes back. It's what I want to do for you out of love. Not out of a deal. Not out of an exchange. Not out of promises. I could tell you all of this. I could tell you, Krishna promised so many things to you. He did. Read Bhagavad Gita. You do this, I promise you, you'll get that. Krishna says that all the time. And it is nice. It's wonderful. It is reassuring. But ignore all that. Because the more you base your life on those promises, the less it's about love, the more it's about business. It's an exchange. You're more like Sugriva and you're less like Hanuman. And nobody read the Ramayana and thought, do you know what? My hero is Sugriva, not that Hanuman fellow. Nothing impressive about him. It's the opposite. You go, Sugriva, fair enough, but not really an inspiration for me. More of an inspiration of how not to be. Ungrateful. Using God. Doing business with God. Hanuman. How can I serve you better? I need a medicine to cure Lakshmana. What does the medicine look like? This is what it looks like. I have no clue what it looks like. What would be the normal person's reaction? I don't know what it looks like. I can't do it. What do you want me to do? Send someone else. Give me help. I don't know. Show me a picture. Google it. What does Hanuman do? Well, I don't know what it looks like. I'll bring the whole mountain. Just flies there, brings the mountain. Here you go. That's an impressive person. Right? Service orientated, solution finding, not questioning, not being too rational. So to wrap up, I think it's very important that we address the two things. The first point that I brought up, the hypocrisy, it's very important that we address how inconsistent, and if you can't address it, at least admit it, how inconsistent we are about things in life. If you like someone, you forgive them so many behaviors. If you like someone, you'll excuse so many things. You'll ignore so many red flags because you like it. You like them. If you don't like someone, you'll put up all of the warning signals, you'll scrutinize, you'll do this, that, and the other. We're all just very, very inconsistent people. And we should address that. We should understand what is our actual model for life. How are we going to interact with this world? And be consistent. Consistency is a great, great virtue, great quality. Coherence, even better. Because you can be consistently stupid. Nobody wants that. You can be consistently inconsistent. Nobody wants that either. Coherence is wonderful. Coherence is when mind, meaning your thoughts, your intentions, your actions, your emotions, your convictions, your values, they're all aligned into one coherent self. So coherence is something worth pursuing. And the second issue that I think needs to be resolved is the way we see ourselves in the relationship with God. Because you can either see yourself as Prahlāda or you see yourself as Hiranyakashipu. Prahlāda says, I ask nothing of you. Hiranyakashipu says, why are you not here right now? Because I've asked for you. And it's so simple to say, yeah, that's the demonic people. They behave like that. But the devotees, we all behave like Prahlāda. Do we? Really? Yeah. And I think there have been plenty of times when we have posed that challenge to Guruji in our own way. Why weren't you there in that moment? Why didn't you tweak that? Why didn't you do this? And you have to understand how dangerous those moments are, because those impressions are inside of you from your past. And the tendency that they will project themselves into your future is very high. Because if you've allowed yourself to think that way before and not corrected it, then you allow that impression to live within you. And it may very well be your next behavior the next time something happens that doesn't go exactly as you wanted it to happen. Your default response is, why? It's to challenge and to question. And who better to be the target of your criticisms than the person with the biggest bullseye on his back, which is Guruji? Because there's a direct relationship. However great you think Guruji is equal to how likely it is you're going to blame him for the bad things in your life. Because the greater he is, technically, the easier it should be for him to fix my life. And if he doesn't, it means he's just a bad guy. Because he could. And however many satsangs you hear from people telling you, Guruji's amazing, he's so great. You go to satsangs and say, he healed this person's cancer, and he healed that person, and then that miracle happened that completely changed their life, and this miracle. The more you hear this, if you have that samskara inside of you, of challenging like Hiranyakashipu did, you'll hear those stories, and instead of giving you a feeling of wonder, instead of awakening and nourishing your heart, it nourishes that vine that wants to strangle your spirituality and says, if you could do it for them, why couldn't you do it for me? And so it's very, very It's a very delicate matter. You have to nurture your inner reality very carefully, because it's the filter through which you perceive every future moment of your life. And it will either come into your life passing through healthy filters that create inspiration and growth, or it passes through bitter filters that create judgment, comparison, and demands of God. So you either become Hiranyakashipu or you become Prahlāda. And the choice is very much ours. Jai Gurudev.